Hello, everybody. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Show. And in the latest of my season reviews, we are looking at Brentford. As it says down there, Brentford 1920 season review. A near miss. Yes, Brentford lost in the playoff final yesterday to Fulham in extra time. So, look, the season is always going to be seen through that prism, but we're going to have a little look back at the season as a whole and the bigger picture and really point out that Brentford is a club on the up, doing good things that just missed out in the last game of the season on promotion to the Premier League. Before we look back, as I always say, I am an outsider. I'm an Ipswich Town fan. But I cover the Championship here. This video is made with respect. If you're a Brentford fan and you don't agree with people that don't support Brentford talking about Brentford, then stop watching now. But if you are an open-minded football fan or an open-minded Brentford fan, indeed, then keep watching and get my views on the club and the season, where they've gone and where they are going, indeed. And look, if you watch the video and you feel that you know more about the subject than me, then as I always say, get in the comments, get the discussion going, and use the fact that you know more than me or the other people in the discussion to educate them and make everybody a little bit smarter, rather than shouting and screaming as we often get here. Right, let's try and set the context first of all, because we can't just talk about a season in isolation. Football doesn't work like that. What we need to talk about is where Brentford have come from, which basically means Matthew Benham at the moment, who was investing money from, I think, about 2007 in Brentford, but then became the 100% stakeholder. The first full season was 2012-13, and it's been a good ride, hasn't it? Look, third in League One. I think that might have been the crazy end of season thing with Doncaster there. Fact check me on that if someone correct me in the comments. And then promotion from League One. And then they ride the crest of that wave into the Championship under Mark Warburton and have their second best finish in the Championship, only to be bettered by this season. Fifth spot, they lose to Middlesbrough in the playoffs. And then steady building of the club after that. They stabilised in 9th, then 10th, then 9th, down to 11th last season. But whilst that was going on the whole time under Warburton, briefly under Maris Dijkhausen, Smith, and then latterly under Thomas Frank, the whole time the club was moving up. The club was getting bigger, if you like that term. Look, attendances are always around that sort of 10,000 mark. But the way they operated, the way they went, Moneyball and data, as I'm sure we've all heard, and the excellent recruitment then starts, the academy closes, but that doesn't close the door to opportunity for players going into Brentford. And there's been a real steady sense of building, culminating in this season and the new stadium off the A40 opening next season. So, look, it has been a steady climb under Matthew Benham. And like I say, it's been underpinned by financing. And I always talk about in the Championship, if you don't have parachute money, essentially you're competing with teams that have way more decent approvable FFP usable money than you do. And it's all down to recruitment. And really, unless you're gonna build a stadium and draw 60,000 fans, it's all down to player sales. It's not down to TV money like it is in the Premier League. Championship doesn't work like that. And Brentford, and I also need to give Bristol City and Preston credit, as I always do in these terms. Brentford have been the poster boys for selling, recruiting, and gradually selling for more, recruit for more, sell for more, recruit for more. And they've bridged that gap to the point where only Brentford and Leeds this season were in the top 6, were not in receipt of parachute payments. Okay, I understand Swansea's a bit of a moot point on that because they don't actually spend any of the parachute payments. But what I'm saying is they've done a great job, propped up on departures. There is 15-16. You can see there it begins. Andre Gray, 11 million. Out he goes out of Barjo, Tarkovsky, Dallas, Grigg. Never afraid to sell a player. And just so you don't think I'm being biased, look down the bottom there. They don't always get it right. Out goes Alfie Mawson, and on a free, and he's obviously going to go to Swansea at some point for 15 million quid, or was it Fulham for 15 million quid? But when I say they don't always get it right, in the main they do. And I suppose just because somebody leaves cheaply and then has a good career doesn't mean you've got it wrong at that point. If they're not ready, they're not ready. And just because they go elsewhere doesn't mean you got it wrong. The next season, seemingly every season, a big nearly 10 million quid sale goes at Scott Hogan the next season, along with Burton and Bidwell. Less so the 17-18 season. Hotter, Colin and Dean all going to Birmingham. Vibay off to CC Yatai in China, but they still raised that sort of 11-12 million quid. Then a really strong showing the previous season here. Mepham, Woods, Yanaris, Egan, Josephson, quick maths, 12, 18, 22, 26, 28 million. And then most spectacularly, and these departures go through as part of this current season, which sets us up for Thomas Frank's campaign. Look at that. Mopai, the thick end of 20 million. Konza, 12 million there. Sawyers and Bentley. I could have done with getting more for Sawyers, given he got promoted with West Brom. But you can see the big point I'm making is that Brentford have managed to raise the equivalent money of virtually, definitely a year 3 and nearly a year 2 parachute payment. That money comes in with sales every season. Yes, they have strengthened and they have purchased, and we'll look at that in a minute. But that's what the this success and this season we're going to talk about has been built on. Let's have a look at the boss, who is Thomas Frank. They're appointed midway through the 2018-19 season to replace Dean Smith, who went off to work for Aston Villa and get them promoted. Indeed, there you go, 20th of October. Thomas joined Brentford in December 16, appointed to the role of assistant head coach, working under Dean Smith. Brentford will be recruiting the assistant head coach in the coming days. So an old school, what you call Liverpool boot room type appointment, where the manager goes and the assistant steps up to continue along the work. The first season, a bit hit and miss under Thomas Frank. And interestingly, he did switch out to a 3 at the back and a 3-4-3 type thing, and a change of shape back for this season. But we will get to that. We've talked about all the departures. Now, what that means is now Brentford, this season particularly, there was a sense that they did kind of go for it. And for the first time, instead of, however well they did it, bringing in Mopai or Watkins for 1.8 million or whatever the fees were for those guys, it looked like they'd up the ante a little bit this season. As you can see there, and Mbuemo, well, his value's gone up, 5.85 there. Pontus Jansson, proven in the top 3 with Leeds last season. Matthias Jensen, 3 million. Christian Norgard, 3 million. Ethan Pinnock, 3 million. David Raya, 3 million. And then Joel Valencia is going to end up on the bench. But look at that. And Mbuemo, Jensen, Norgard, Pinnock, Raya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They bought half a team in the summer. Decent standard of players, decent fees. This is not pre-Matthew Benham Brentford anymore. It's not Kansas anymore, Dorothy. So you can see, hopefully I've set up the context for this season, that Brentford, through very slow and strategic building, sell, buy, up the fees go, are competitive in the Championship. And I applaud them in the face of those horrible parachute payments that we see every year. And before someone puts in the comments, yes, I understand parachute payments are a necessary evil. It's the disparity between what a parachute payment and a non-parachute payment team gets that I object to. And if you're going to give out those parachute payments so big, there's an issue when, I don't know, look, what we're going to get now, Brentford haven't gone up. So now relegated Norwich, who stank out the end of the Premier League season, are going to get 10 times more broadcast money, 45 million in terms of Brentford, 4 million next season. I don't like it. There we go. Raise up or bring down, even it out. Competitive imbalance is never good in sport when it comes to the money coming in the door. Always been the same, I know. There's Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is really relevant because Neil Mopai went out for, we think, the thick end of 20 million. Thomas Frank not going to buy an expensive striker. Remember, Andre Gray's gone out and Scott Hogan's gone out before. He's going to take his winger and stick him down the middle. So that was the first really good decision this season. And the next one, because this guy has been sensational, Said Benrahma. We will likely never see him in a Brentford shirt again, but there was a chance. Dean Smith, as you can imagine, had him before, was sniffing around with some of Villa's Premier League TV money to spend there. But a bit of an impasse before the season. I believe, if I've got this right, Benrahma didn't actually play the first few games. And then they sorted that he was going to stay. They got the commitment. And straight away, you look at it, you've converted to centre forward, you've kept your star player down the left. We talk about Fulham and the importance of keeping Mitrovic. You've added Mbeumo, and now you've got this front three built. Brentford always seem to start slowly in the Championship. Maybe it's because they're always selling and recruiting. Biggest strengths, sometimes your biggest weaknesses. 3 wins in the first 11, so slow under Thomas Frank. But remember, as I said, those 6 players to bed in, Mbeumo, Jensen, Norgard, Pinnock, Raya, is virtually a new team that he has to build on, despite the fact that the philosophy and the plan of the club has been steady for years before. However, after those 3 wins in 11, look at that, 9 wins in 13 from the 19th of October. Huge one there, 7-0 over Luton. And as I always say, it doesn't matter if you lose games. You can lose 4 games in 13 if you're going to win the other 9. And we've spoken about teams like Millwall, maybe Cardiff drawing too many games. Well, Brentford had a surge up into year end. 9 wins in 13, really, really tip-top form there. As you can see, Thomas Frank, the new system, Benrahma settled, Watkins converted, the new players coming in. You can see steadily we're going to grow through the season. Here is the year-end table. And I've said this many times as well. This season, look, Leeds were excellent. West Brom were good and had an excellent manager. Fulham and Brentford were on the verge of being good, but working towards it. And everything else challenging was much of a muchness, wasn't it? Even though you can see Forest there on equal points, they're going to finish quite a distance behind Brentford. But you take my point, and there was a chance of the top 2, but behind them, not that much going on. Always about being in year 2 of the plan in the Championship. If you can do that, and Brentford are in year 4 and 5 of the plan. No big outs in January. Derbyshoglu comes in, but remember, Brentford, you're normally signing for 2 years down the line. The same with Shandon Baptiste and Tariq Fosu, both in from Oxford. But interesting there, look, Emiliano Marcondes comes back from Midtjylland in Norway. Often we don't get players go out on loan and come back and fight their way back into the team. Marcondes is going to do that. So kind of a new face to help there. But a bit of a slowdown pre-COVID, a nice run there of 4 wins in 6. But definitely going into lockdown. Look at that. No wins in 5, 1 win in 6. Unfortunately, a 5-0 win just before lockdown. But bit of a slow up and a bit of a sense that, you know, they're a way off Leeds and West Brom. It's going to be playoffs at best. But think about big picture from the club. Obviously, riding that promotion from League One in 14-15 playoffs. It had been 9th, 10th, 9th, 11th since then. So looking good. If you're looking for long-term growth, you're going to get it. And it would have taken something pretty spectacular, pretty spectacular for you Curb fans out there. And they nearly did it. Look at that. What a run. And that takes out as well the Sheffield Wednesday win. 7 straight wins after lockdown, 8 straight wins in all competitions. And we will all remember that Huddersfield versus West Brom game. Huddersfield beat West Brom. Leeds are then automatically promoted by that result. And then it's in Brentford hands. They were never in second place at the finish of any game. And they run out of steam at totally the wrong time there. They lose to Stoke. They lose to Barnsley. Even in that last game, they could have got automatic with QPR holding West Brom there. I think the timing of all of this is a bit unfortunate for Brentford because they had the whole win streak and put themselves in position, run out of steam. If they'd have lost the 2 games and then won the rest, everyone would have said, oh, nice running going into the playoffs. But, of course, you get that horrible word, choking, bottling, falling over, whatever you want to call it. I applaud Brentford's win streak, and they just didn't have enough to get themselves over the line in the end. And frankly, were they better than Leeds? No. And just not quite ready to supplant a Year 2 parachute team in West Brom with Slaven Bilic in the dugout and all the riches that West Brom had, particularly off the front, Diangana, Pereira, Grzycki, Robinson on loan, Phillips, loads of options there, Sawyers and Livermore. They just weren't ready to supplant them in the end, were they? In the playoffs, they go and they lose the first game. Remember that controversial and since rescinded Keith Stroud red card for Rico Henry, but quite the fight back in the second leg. Bang, bang, 2 up after 15 minutes, then straight after half-time. Bit of a mistake by Janssen, terrible mistake by Janssen in the second half. Brewster scores, but 3-2 is the aggregate score, and it's Brentford versus Fulham in the final. I said it earlier in the video, Leeds were excellent. West Brom were good and had parachutes and a really good manager. And then underneath them, the best of the rest were Fulham and Brentford, working towards what Leeds and West Brom had this season. And it was Fulham last night. Joe Bryan catching out David Raya, with that free kick. And then as Pinnock and Janssen are virtually playing up front, they catch Brentford on the break, 117 out of 120 minutes. Dalsgaard with the consolation, and Brentford miss out in extra time of the playoff final. Unlucky, says I. A great effort by Brentford, especially that mad chase, 8 wins on the trot to make an automatic promotion race that at one point in December, I think was 11 or 13 points clear or something like that. So I applaud the chase. Maybe Fulham in terms of some individuals, Kenny, Mitrovic, Knockhart, Cavaliero, Harrison Reed, Harry Arter, Michael Hector. Maybe Joe Bryan signed in the Premier League as well. Maybe they just had a little bit more at the end of it. And for all, Brentford's excellent pattern of play, good philosophy of football and excellent recruitment, they just didn't quite have enough on the day. On my slide there where you can't see, I've written a fine team, and they have been a fine team. And as I said, Thomas Frank had worked on a 3-4-3, 3 at the back, however you want to say it's configured last season, and built up to this here a really familiar looking 4-3-3. And it's been a really, really good team to watch. With Raya in goal coming from Blackburn. Dalsgaard was already there. He's adaptable. He can play in at right centre-half as well. Rico Henry was already there. He's been great, hasn't he? Pinnock arrived this season. So did Janssen. Pinnock playing Janvier out of the team, doing really well. Norgard sitting in front of that back four. Jensen's come in this season as one of the other midfielders. Josh De Silva, he was an Arsenal graduate, wasn't he? Done really well in that lovely 3-man midfield with Marcondes backing them up from the bench in the second half of the season. And Buemo, Watkins and Ben Rama have been superb up the front. You look through that team and you think, my God, literally any one of those 11 could be taken for more money than they were signed and go to a club that finished higher up than Brentford have done this season, or go to European shores for a bigger wage or a bigger transfer fee. And therein lies the proof in the pudding that they can go again. They can do it all again. Who will it be that goes? Probably Ben Rama. And I mean, what are you looking there? 30 million, 35 million if you sell to Champions League, 40 million. Watkins, well, we're led to believe it's an 18 million pound release clause. And Buemo, 10 million. And then people like Rico Henry and Ethan Pinnock, 5 to 10 million there as well. Raya was in my team of the season as well. His value's gone up. Any number of saleable assets. Brentford moving to a new stadium as well. Look, it's a club very, very much on the up. But let's be frank here. Let's be Thomas Frank here. We're not going to see that team play again. And that's fine. That's what happens in the Championship. Good Championship teams that, don't go up, get broken up. That's what happens. The best players going to want to go and play at a higher level. And frankly, they deserve to, don't they? They deserve. Go and get paid. Go and play at the top level, especially for Ben Rama. There's no limits maybe to where he could go. So, look, here are my conclusions here. I've made a few bullet points. And the first one, first bullet point, club on the up. In the bigger picture, okay, Brentford fans, you've lost the playoff final yesterday. It's raw. But look at the big picture. It's a club competing continually with more moneyed, more historical parachute-funded teams in the Championship every year, doing a great job, finishing third and just missing out. New stadium, okay, that might take some time to adjust to. So many saleable assets. Everyone overpays for Brentford players as well. They always get good prices because of their reputation as great recruiters. It's a club on the up, and even though it smarts to lose a playoff final, and many fans watching will have been through it in Championship terms, it's a club on the up. The second bullet point is that horrible word, bottlers. It's come up in my feeds and I've been asked, look, I hate the term bottlers. I really do. I do not subscribe to the idea that anybody that just misses out on achieving something really, really great is all of a sudden a bottler. But people are going to unkindly look at those last games, and it is 4 defeats in the last 5 games at the clutch point, as they would say in American sport. Did Brentford bottle it off? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I just don't like the term. I don't know. I think my glass is half full, and I try and be a good person. If anybody watching has a child and their child does their absolute best and finishes second or finishes third or whatever, are you going to go and shout at the child and call them a bottler? Or are you going to say, well done, keep practicing, try and do better next time? I don't know. Look, take it as a compliment. You're getting called bottlers. I know Leeds fans have been through it. Derby fans have been through it. Anyone that frankly just misses out goes through it. If West Brom had lost to Brentford, West Brom would be being called bottlers now. The football banter sphere never ends. And unfortunately, the justification for a lot of football banter, and it's very juvenile, is, oh, they said mean things about us when we just missed out, so we're going to say mean things about you now. Look, and the truth is anyone calling Bristol City bottlers, or Millwall bottlers, or Stoke bottlers, or anyone that finished outside of the playoffs or didn't make the playoff final? Take it as a compliment that you were that close and you missed out. Suck it up. And if you want to, I don't play football banter, but if you want to play football banter and point scoring, store it up. And maybe when you do get there, you can, have a pop at the other teams. I don't want to play that game, but I thought I'd mention it. Pattern of play is king. And that's the big thing here, that we've had continuity of good football playing through the thirds, into central midfield, wingers tucking in, fullbacks going outside, short passing, high percentage chances created. We all know Brentford have been the darlings of football metrics and XG, and been so close on pattern of play they've been up the top of the pattern of play league, put it that way, in the metrics. Maybe they haven't quite had the players and the infrastructure to press home that advantage. But no doubt, if players go out, new players will come in. They'll play exactly the same way, and hopefully, from a Brentford fan's point of view, it will reap rewards. And the bottom one, coping with sales. Look, there's going to be sales. There always is at Brentford, and there always is out of any good Championship team that just failed. When I say failed, let me rephrase that just didn't quite succeed, because that's what we're talking about. Not quite succeed in extra time, playoff final, 104th minute or whatever time it was. Can they cope with the sales? Look, there's no guarantees, is there? There really is no guarantees. They've done it in the past. History says that they'll be able to. But how many go out, and how vital are the players that go out? And can you find your Andre Gray, your Scott Hogan, your Mepham, your Konza, your Mopai every single year? Probably add to that your Ben Rama. They've done it for those 5 or 6 players. But remember, the longer they're in the Championship without parachute payments, they're going to need a 10 million quid influx of money, whether that's 1 player, 2 players, whatever, every single season. So, look, can they cope? History says they should be able to, but you never know how vital these players are, and whether 3rd place turns into 5th place or 8th place, or God forbid, 12th, 15th, even lower, or whether it turns into 2nd place or 1st place. Who knows how they'll cope with the sales? I, for one, say good luck to them, recruiting well, playing good football, a club on the up, moving in the right direction, into a new stadium. I can think of 20, 30, 40 clubs that would swap places with Brentford, just like that, doing what they're doing. And I look at that scarf, and that's no exception. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's always tough in the Championship, but I fully admire what Brentford have done the past 3, 4, 5 years, and long may it continue. Frankly, and we'll see where they go next season. Might be a new look team, but hey, it always is at Brentford. So look, that is my thoughts on Brentford's 1920 season review. As I said at the top of the video, if you're a Brentford fan and you've watched this far, again, I'm an outsider. I may not know as much as you about this. There may be things I've missed out, but use the comments as an opportunity to educate. I'm very passionate about this. I don't feel that social media is policed well enough, and a lot of people act like pricks when, if everyone shares their knowledge in a civil way, the tide rises, we all get smarter and the world's a better place, rather than, oh, Ben, you missed out that, you missed out that, you're a fraud, I've got you on strings, you're rattled. The crap that we get every day. You know what I'm talking about online, don't you? So get your comments in, get the discussion. It doesn't always have to be a debate and an argument, and disagreeing. It can be a fun, good discussion on Brentford, celebrating what's been really, I think, a good season that just didn't succeed. I don't want to say fail at the last hurdle indeed. So do that, and you can support my channel here via Super Chat. After the fact, even if it's not a live stream, you can still click the live chat and hit that dollar button and support via Super Chat. Help me out. You subscribe on Patreon. Why? Because I don't have a job because of COVID, and I'm going to try and make a go of this YouTubing malarkey here. Been tons of videos I've been putting out. The numbers have been going up. We're getting there. I promise we're getting there. It will always be free, but at the moment I do need your support while we build subscribers and build up that ad revenue from subscribers. I need your help. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to see a fellow football lover, that's all I am, succeed in this space, in this sphere, then please dip your hand in your pocket and help out there. Obviously, there's no obligation to do that. And if you are not in a position to, or don't want to, or maybe you might do down the line after some more videos, then please help me out just by hitting that thumbs up button, getting involved in the comments. As I say, let's try and make this a good place to debate, friendly place without people being jerks to each other. So if you are going to comment, try and just be a nice person. It doesn't cost anything, does it? And please subscribe there. That says 10,000, but we are up to 11,000 subscribers on the channel. Growth has been fabulous since I didn't have a job, and I've been doing multiple videos per day, but we need it to keep climbing for me to make my ambition. Anyway, it's not all about me, contrary to that last 2 minutes of plug-in. It's about Brentford and their season review, and it's about you, and it's about the debate, and add your opinions and your knowledge in. As I say, though, use it as a place to educate others, educate me, rather than a place to shout and scream, which sadly the internet tends to be sometimes. That is my views. I'll be here next season covering the Championship, covering Brentford. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. More Brentford next season indeed. And as I say, they have my full admiration, and good luck to the Bees next season. I look forward one day, maybe, to going to that new stadium off the A4 or the A40. I can't remember what the road is, somewhere in West London. There you go. Thank you for watching. That was my Brentford 1920 season review. A near miss, but a lot to be proud of. Thank you for watching. Over and out.